Hi, and welcome to Why Not with Janice. I'm Janice. Tonight we have a special guest. We're going to be talking about fostering and adoption. Pros and cons, reasons why it's very important for people to really think about this and search their hearts. There's children out there, hundreds of thousands over the whole United States that really could use a home, and that's why we're bringing this topic up, because we want to help people and help others to reach their goals. And this is one that I want people to think about, helping children reach their goal by finding a good family or helping them out that they can get back to their family. Okay? Today I have a special guest. Her name is Diane Blust. Welcome, Diane. Thank you very much for coming to the show.
My pleasure.
Okay. Diane, she works with Children Home and Aid Society. You're a permanency advocate, correct?
I'm a permanency coordinator for the agency.
For the agency, okay, great. Can you just tell us a little bit about your job and your agency, please?
Well, our agency, Children's Home and Aid, has been around since 1883, serving the communities of Chicago and statewide. Our metropolitan programs are foster care, adoption, return home, and there are other educational programs within the agency. My specific role within the agency is to ensure that the children that are either legally free or ready to achieve permanency in a timely manner within the agency. And that's either through adoption or guardianship.
Oh, okay. So you specialize in fostering and adoption. Their agency does.
Yes.
Okay. Just in Illinois, or is the agency nationwide?
Primarily, we're in Illinois, but we do have sister agencies down in Florida.
Oh, okay. Now, exactly like how does your agency help? Like, you're not part of DCFS. Does DCFS send kids to you to help out? How does that process work, where you find kids to help?
We're a private agency.
Okay.
So we are contracted through the departments, and all of the children that are affiliated with our agency are DCFS wards.
Oh, okay. So now you have kids that need to be adopted. What is the process of that? I'm assuming you don't have abundance of people that have their hands up, I want to adopt, I'm assuming. You probably are always recruiting, or you need foster parents. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
We actively recruit within the community at various community events, churches, schools, fairs. We're looking for families that have the need, the desire to parent children that are in need of families.
Okay. So one of the major things is first the fostering. Because I assume you want to get the kids back to their family. No one wants a family broken up. That's the number one goal, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So with that, you need the foster parents. What's the process of even trying to become a foster parent for a child?
Well, it's rather quite easy, but it could be a little bit lengthy depending on the individuals that want to become licensed. There is a licensing procedure with our agency, as with any other agency within the state, that they have to pass background clearances, medical clearances. They have to complete a 33-hour training series.
Oh, okay.
That specifically focuses on the special needs of the children that we serve.
Okay. So the 33-hour class, and I don't know if you know a little bit about my background. My husband and I have been trying to adopt, so I do know a little bit about the 33-hour classes.
Right.
And they were actually wonderful to actually go to. I mean, we actually learned a lot from the classes. Explain a little bit about the classes at least then. Can you do that? Like what topics or?
Well, I know a lot of the trainings are updated regularly, so I can't speak specifically as to what the agenda looks like, but I know it has to do with, you know, parenting traumatized children, how to work with the birth parents, and extended family members. So there is a collaboration for the best interest of the children. There are specific classes geared for educational advocacy for the children. Visitation with the birth parents, what that looks like. And also any of the special needs, emotional trauma, how to parent a child that has been physically abused or neglected or that has severe medical issues. So there's a wide variety of classes, and we always offer additional support for our foster parents if they want to delve more into a topic.
Okay. Well, a lot of people think that you get a foster child and you're left alone, but I'm happy you said that. You're not left alone. You're always giving assistance and help.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Depending on the classification of the children that are in the system, there would either be a traditional placement that would be with a non-relative, there would be a home relative placement, or there might be a specialized foster care placement. So that would depend on how many times a caseworker would go out and meet with the families and visit with the children, see what their needs are and if any services are needed.
And those classes help the parents or the new foster parents to learn how to adapt with a child who has been through a trauma.
Correct.
Okay. Now, with the classes, though, I thought they were actually very informed and very helpful for people. Why are people that you know of, are people leery about being a foster parent? Do you have any advice to tell people how it's not that scary, which a lot of people think it is?
Well, I believe people have the wrong outlook on the children, like in general about the children that we serve.
Okay.
Yes, we do have younger population, and we also have children that are older that are in need of placements. And it takes a special person, family that's able to take on a child that has been in the system for multiple years, that have multiple issues. So there might be some reluctance from the general society on that.
Now, when it comes to like what families, there's no boundaries on what a family could look like to adopt or a foster, correct? Like the age range, I mean, you got to be over 18, I assume.
You have to be 21.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We do not discriminate. We are certified to support and serve the LGBT families, same-sex couples, single families, single couple families.
And it doesn't matter socioeconomic. So you don't have to be the richest person in the world, and you don't have to be, it doesn't matter where you're at socially wise. You get help, and it doesn't matter your family. Like you don't have to be a homeowner, but you can rent.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't affect you social economic wise. If you're a renter or if you're a homeowner, things like that.
No, we just want to make sure that financially you're able to provide for yourself and for your family.
Okay. Where do you find? Do you find there are more teenagers that are needing of foster homes currently?
I would say it's a broad spectrum of the
Broad
ages.
spectrum. Okay.
We're always looking for foster families, especially for the older children, and it takes a special family to parent an older child.
What are the characteristics that you would say that a foster parent should possess? Patience or?
Oh, definitely patience. You have to be a team player, willing to think outside of the box,
Okay.
willing to be flexible, understanding.
Okay.
Problem solving is a good attribute to have also. Loving, caring, unconditional love for our children.
Now, is it like different requirements, like they have to have their own bedrooms or things like that? Like if there's two girls, can they share? Is it really a big difference in that also?
Well, that's part of the licensing standards and requirements. The children have to be within a certain age range in order to share a bedroom together.
Okay.
If they're related, it's less strict about that, like if you have a sibling group.
Okay.
But typically, like a 15-year-old sharing a bedroom with a 3-year-old is not an appropriate
Right.
living situation at times.
But you try to get them anyway closer to the age, preferably anyhow, I would think, unless they're siblings. So if you have a 15-year-old and a 3-year-old, you kind of want to keep them in the same house if possible.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I was talking about more so too of the foster parents' own children.
Oh, okay.
So they would need their separate space also.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Is it better for, like, how is it when they come to adapt? When if the parents have their own kids, and then they bring in foster children, do you find there's a lot of struggle with parents and the foster kids blending, or do you have a system that you kind of match people?
Well, actually, when you are becoming a licensed foster parent, you're going through an assessment process where a case manager is going to come into your home, a licensing representative, and they're going to interview you. They're going to talk to your children to make sure that you have had this family conversation prior to making the decision to become a foster parent and have other children being placed in your home.
Right.
So we do want to find the correct families for the children rather than the correct children for the families.
Okay. That's what I was trying to get, like, is there a match? You know, you kind of go in and you do the interview. So this way you can see the whole family together, see how they interact and what is best for them.
Correct.
And this way the child will match, and this way it's a good fit.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense.
A lot of the foster parents have their own criteria. They may tell you that they are looking to parent a child between the ages of 5 and 8.
Okay.
Which is a very narrow window of age for criteria, but that won't stop us from, remembering, oh, Miss Smith, she's really good with the kids. Maybe she will take a 10-year-old. Maybe she will take that 12-year-old that needs a short-term placement or possibly a long-term placement also.
And then you just call them up and ask them, and they've already been interviewed, so you kind of know and feel in a relationship with the foster parent. So they have a relationship with their caseworker, and whoever's going to come the child, they already know that relationship.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. What would you say to a foster parent or someone who's actually interested? What would you say to them that why we need foster parents?
Well, there's a great need for people to care for the children that are left neglected and abused and that are torn or taken away from their families. It takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
And that's very clear.
Right.
I would just tell the foster parent I would highly recommend that they're doing this for the right purpose.
Okay.
A lot of times you get the empty nest syndrome and you have a client that wants to parent again and they're good at being parents.
Right.
And I would definitely recommend them to explore fostering to adoption.
Now, I assume there's a lot more kids that are for foster than adoption, correct?
Yes,
percentage-wise,
there is.
Okay. Because the main goal, I think, now they've been saying is trying to get the kids back to their parent, which is the best thing, back to their family. Now, do you have other programs like working the parents, like the parents take classes to try to get the kids back and help with parenting skills for the parent that is struggling to have the child in their home, like having their children come back?
All service recommendations are based off of their individual service plan.
Okay.
That is completed every 6 months for a child, a family. Depending on the circumstances of why the child came into the system, if it was a young mother or there's drug issues, mental health issues, then we will, as social workers, decide what services are recommended for them to complete in a timely manner in order to work towards the goal of return home for the children.
Okay.
Which would be parenting classes. It might be domestic violence classes. It might be mental health therapy, medication compliance. there's a whole variety based on the individual parents.
Okay. Now, does the agency help the parents out, like insurance? I know a lot of people worry about that. Health insurance is a major issue. Does the agency or the state help the parents out, the new foster parents, with like assistance with health care insurance that it's not as much of a burden for them?
For the children?
For the children.
Oh, absolutely. When a child is placed in your home, they come with the state medical card. So all their medical needs are covered. There's also a monthly stipend that is paid to the foster parent also to care for that child, to be able to put food and clothing in the home.
Now, do you also have anything for the children? I know sometimes the kids, if they're in school, they know they're going to be in a new school. So they might feel ostracized or centered out. Does the agency have any programs for like the kids to get together, or recreational things that they take the kids out separate from what the foster parents do, or activities for them at all?
We do have a program that has been very successful in the past years, and it's called the Excellence Academy. However, it's geared for older children. It's geared, I believe it starts at the age of 10, and it can go all the way to independence, which would be 18.
Okay.
So at the different office locations, they have like an after-school program.
Oh, great, great.
And they'll work on independent living skills. They will, assist with homework. They go on outings. They do community service projects.
Oh,
And that's really interesting to see the kids.
Okay, great. So it's not only trying to help the families get back together, but also give the kids a good, solid environment, somewhere they can feel safe at, activities that not everything is different or disrupted. They have some social out activities, where I'm getting at.
Yes, and it's their own support system.
Okay. Oh, that's perfect. That's wonderful. Now, about adoption. Now, I know not most kids will go back to their parents, I'm assuming, a good large portion of it. Do a lot of people have to be foster parents before they can adopt? Or do they just go straight through adoption of kids that are in foster care? How does that process work?
That would be foster to adopt.
Foster to adopt.
In today's society right now, that's more popular than just plain adoption.
Oh, okay.
Our agency does very little, infant adoptions anymore.
Oh, okay.
Because those children are slated to be returned home. But however, if a child comes into the system as an infant and is placed in a foster home, which is licensed, just say that you have this child in your home.
Okay.
And after two years, mom or dad, they just couldn't really get all the services completed in order for a successful reunification. We would look to the foster parents next.
Okay.
To see if they are committed to providing a lifelong home for the child. And 9 out of 10 times they are.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. That's that's really great.
Yes.
Okay. So you can go from being the foster care parent to possibly, obviously the main thing is going back to the parent, but you can possibly later on actually decide to adopt if that is a possibility and opens up.
Yes, if their goal changes to termination of parental rights due to lack of involvement in services.
And this way it's not a lot of stress on the child if they're already placed with a foster parent, and then if there's actually perfect working family in the first place, it makes obvious sense that if the foster parent would adopt and keep that unity of the family that they have now going.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
And that's what we encourage.
That's what you encourage. Okay. Now you said they don't do a lot of infant adoptions anymore.
No.
Yeah. I assume that at that stage that a lot of the parents would probably be working even harder and doing whatever they can take to get the babies back, or you also probably don't even have that many babies being or needing foster care at that time.
A lot of the infants that come into the system are placed with family members to begin
okay.
with.
That's what.
We always look first to place with family,
Okay.
if that's appropriate.
Okay. Now, do the family members also have to go through the fostering and through the process, or not all the time?
Not all the time.
Okay.
There may be various reasons why they're unable to become licensed, but for the purpose of permanency, we do encourage them to become licensed.
Okay.
it's a better, you receive more services financially
Okay.
if you are a licensed foster parent. But for relatives, it's their decision because there might be, a grandparent for some reason that they just don't want to do the classes, and then they will just do the bare minimum in order to have that child placed with them.
Oh, okay. Now, I know you also said there's even special needs children. Is that a large need right now for getting foster parents for special needs children?
Well, we actually consider any child in the system a special needs child.
Oh, okay.
Just based on being outside of their family. We do have a specialized foster care contract where it's based on their emotional disabilities. There might be a medical issues going on or behavioral, and that requires a more specialized foster parent that's able to effectively parent the child. In return, there's more services that the child is involved in, so the foster parent is expected to treat this child as their own.
Okay.
Take them to their medical appointments, their therapy appointments, become involved, be seen at the school.
Okay.
So we do have that contract within the agency also.
Okay. Now, they also have a social worker for some of the children that may actually need like extra emotional care. Do they have their own counselors typically, or that's up to the parents to try to find like counseling for a child if they've been traumatized or in some type of trauma?
Children's Home and Aid has a therapeutic department.
Oh,
We do
okay.
have therapists at all of our locations. Depending on locations, it might not be convenient for the foster parents. So we will refer to an agency within their community that will either accept the medical card or a hospital that will accept DCFS payments.
Okay. Now, I know for adoption, if you go through foster to adopt, are there any costs to that with the agency if you go through the fostering first to the adoption versus a regular adoption through a private agency, like going through lawyers and things like that? Does there cost fees and extra?
To the foster parents?
Yes, to the foster parents to adopt.
No.
No.
When a child is adopted or achieves guardianship through our agency, as with the state, they will get the medical card. They will get the ongoing monthly board check that they are currently receiving, and all attorney fees are covered by the department as long as they use a contracted attorney that is approved by the department.
Okay.
So those fees are all covered by the department.
So no actual fees, like you could hear like sometimes adoption agency, they're like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and a lot of people don't have that to adopt.
That's more so of the private adoption.
The private
agents.
adoption agency.
Yes.
So going through like your agency, Children's Home and Aid Society, and we do have your email address and your company website that we'll put up also, your agency website. They don't have to pay for that. So it's a win-win situation. You're helping the children out that needs foster care and they need a home and a great family. And if by chance, the child does need a permanency home and you're a permanency counselor, then they would get their home with the foster parent that they had without any extra costs.
Absolutely.
Right. Perfect. I mean, I see that there's so many kids that really need that extra help and they need a home, and there's people that I think that are out there that they have that extra bedroom. They have that extra time, but they don't know how it's going to happen or if it's going to cost a lot or anything like that. So I really like that whole thing. I want to ask you a few extra questions. Part of the show I have is ask people about how they got into the program to motivate other people to do the same career. Why did you choose to get into counseling and to the agency or working with children?
Oh, that's very interesting. It's an interesting story, actually. I had gotten my degree in criminal justice, actually, and I was going to go into law enforcement. And at that time,
Okay.
it was the early 90s when DCFS was in the newspapers, not online, and there was like story after story after story about all these travesties that were happening to children, and it just tore at my heart. So I decided I'm not working full-time in the field I want to, let me try this. And I tried that, and after 6 months, I decided to stay with it. So it'll be 20 years next month that I'll be with Children's Home and Aid, but I've been doing this since 1993.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And
That's a long career.
And I love permanencies.
Okay.
It does not bother me to go to work.
Oh, perfect. Because your part of the position is permanency when they're actually going to be with the foster parent permanently. They're actually out of the foster care system going to a complete adoption. Is that your permanency part?
They're at the point where permanency is very near, and we get the referrals from the caseworkers once the goal changes either to subsidized guardianship or the goal is changing to termination of parental rights.
Okay.
So we're getting involved with the families a lot earlier to do the assessments of them.
So are you there at the point like when the judge says, yes, these are the new parents? Is that your part of your job, that you see them to that end point?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. That would be at the adoption court down at the Daily Center, which is a very joyous occasion.
Oh, okay. Do you do a lot of those, or
I personally don't go to the adoption court anymore,
Mm-hmm.
but yes, I do carry a caseload, and our team does. Last year, I want to say off the top of my head, we completed about 80 permanencies,
okay.
and that there's 4 of us,
Mm-hmm.
and we were very happy. And that's just the metropolitan region. That's not the southern, the northern region of the state also.
Oh, okay. Do you recommend this career to other people?
I do. I do. I really love working with the families and the children from all different backgrounds. There's not a day that is the same. I love meeting new people and just seeing the passion of the foster parents towards the children and seeing them, years down the road and how successful they are.
Oh, okay. Now, where's the first step for someone to actually contact your company, your organization, actually, to become a foster parent? Do you want to give our audience the email address and the website then?
The email address would be childrenshomeandaid.org, and that's all spelled out. And the contact person would be our licensing manager, Kurt Callis, and his direct number is 708-206-3521. And his email address is kkalas@childrenshomeandaid.org. Sorry, Kurt. But if you're interested, just go on our website, give Kurt a call, and we can definitely steer you in the right direction.
And start off from there then. Okay, great. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Thank you. Gave us a lot of great information. I'm hoping a lot of people will contact you because there's a lot of kids that really need homes.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much, audience, for coming. I appreciate it. This is Janice with whywhynot.com. You can see us on our website. You can also visit us on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you very much and have a great evening. Good night.
Bye.